Hi, this is Usha. Welcome to Rathod Science classes. Today in this lecture, we are going to see current affairs of 30th July 2021. In this lecture, we are going to discuss 9 topics which are very much relevant to UPSC. So, let's get started with our discussion and let us see first topic. So, first topic we are going to discuss is International Tiger Day. Actually, yesterday, July 29th, every year we are going to celebrate this International Tiger Day. Okay, so here we need to know what is importance of this International Tiger Day and when we started celebrating this International Tiger Day. So what is importance of tigers? Okay, so this point of view is very important from our UPSC. So every year on July 29th, we are celebrating this International Tiger Day. So in this context, our Prime Minister said India has achieved the target of doubling of tiger population 4 years ahead of schedule of St. Petersburg Declaration on Tiger Conservation. Okay, so on this context or on this day of International Tiger Day, so our Prime Minister said India has achieved the target of doubling of tiger population 4 years ahead of schedule of St. Petersburg Declaration on Tiger Conservation. So if you're talking about some key points, here Worldwide Fund for Nature, which mainly says that tigers, they are top predators. Okay, so if you're talking about food chain, here we are having plants, okay, and here we are having consumers, right? So here these plants are primary producers, they are herbivore. Okay, so they are primary producers of food, and on these plants, these herbivores, they depend. Okay, these herbivores, they mainly depend on these plants. On these herbivores, carnivores will be dependent, right? So here we are having top predators. So these top predators are mainly depend upon other animals. So here tiger mainly occupies this place of top predators. Okay, so tigers mainly comes under this top predators. So these top predators, they play an important role in maintaining number of herbivores. So if top predators are not there, means this number of herbivores will be increased. So whenever this number of herbivores is increasing, then the number of plants will be decreased because of increase in pressure on these plants, right? So because of this, to maintain proper ecological harmony or ecosystem harmony, so we need to maintain these top predators. So Worldwide Fund for Nature states that these tigers comes under top predators. So these top predators plays an important role in maintaining of planet ecosystem harmony. So this day observed to create and to spread awareness regarding the dangers which faced by this tiger population of the world. And this day mainly focuses on conservation of tigers as they plays an important role in maintaining and protecting a balanced ecosystem. So if you're talking about this top predators, they mainly prey on herbivore population. So because of these tigers, they have helped to keep balance between forest vegetation and also animals. And now let us try to talk about history of this International Tiger Day. So year 2010, what happened in Russia? The first World Tiger Day was observed at St. Petersburg Tiger Summit. So in this St. Petersburg Tiger Summit, which held in Russia in 2010, so this is the first World Tiger Day they was observed. And a total of 13 countries with tiger population, or which mainly comes under this tiger range, they decided a global goal to double wild tiger population by 2022. Okay, so this is about history of this International Tiger Day. So if you're talking about significance of this day, WWF mainly said that in beginning of 20th century there are about 1 lakh tigers. But in 2010, number has been reduced to just 3,200. So therefore, it is very important to save the tiger population in the world, mainly to maintain balance in our ecosystem. Therefore, International Tiger Day plays an important role by creating and also even spreading awareness and works for conservation of tigers. So if you're talking about tiger population in India, so according to All India Tiger Estimation Report of 2018, it mainly says the tiger population, it is about 2,967, and we achieved our dream of doubling of tigers before the target of 2022. Okay, so why we achieved that? Because government came with initiative, that is Project Tiger. Okay, and the theme of this year International Tiger Day is their survival is in our hands. So this theme mainly highlighting important role in protecting the natural habitat of tigers and maintaining of a balanced ecosystem. So these are some important things that you need to remember regarding this International Tiger Day. Now let us move on to next topic. Title says 27% of OBCs, 10% of economically weaker sections in national quota medical seats. So this article mainly talking about AIQ, okay, that is All India Quota. So under this All India Quota, now OBCs also got reservation of about 27%, and EWS, economically weaker sections, they got a reservation of 10% in medical seats. So this article will be important from our reservation, okay. So actually this reservation is important topic in our polity, right? There was one important famous case regarding this reservation also. So UPSC aspirants, they must know about that case. Okay, so now let us try to see this topic in a very great detail. And this topic will be important from polity point of view. So let me know about which is the case regarding this reservation in India. So if you don't know this case, please let me know in comment box. In tomorrow's lecture, we are going to discuss that case because that case is very important from UPSC. So now let us try to understand this topic in a very great detail. So if you see context, it mainly says that Union Health Ministry has announced 27% reservation for OBCs, other backward classes, and 10% reservation for economically weaker sections under this AIQ, okay, AIQ scheme for both UG, that is undergraduation, and post-graduation medical and dental courses from 2021 to 2022. Okay, so from this year onwards, this scheme will be applicable. So if you're talking about details, it mainly says that, so this decision would benefit mainly 1500 OBC students to get seats in undergraduation of this MBBS and dental courses, and about 2500 OBCs they can get PG seats. And next one is, if you're talking about economically backward classes, about 550 seats they will get in MBBS, and about 1000 students they can get seats in PG, okay, post graduation. So now let us move on to background. So what is about this AIQ, okay, AIQ scheme. So here there is one infographic. If you see infographic, you can understand what is the background. So this AIQ, that is All India Quota, okay, this All India Quota introduced in year 1986. Okay, so in this All India Quota, which mainly supports students who are with merit. Okay, students who are with merit from one state, if you want to go to another state, this will be very important. So actually earlier there is nothing like reservation which is present. But what happened in 2007, we came with this reservation concept. Okay, in 2007, Supreme Court introduced reservation of 15% under this All India Quota for scheduled caste, and about 7.5% of reservation for scheduled tribes. Okay, so since 2007 onwards, we are having reservation. And later on in 2019, Madras High Court said Centre cannot delay indefinitely regarding implementation of reservation to OBCs under this scheme. Okay, finally Union Health Ministry announced this 27% of reservation for OBCs and 10% of reservation for these economically weaker sections now. Okay, so this is background I wrote here. Okay, and now let us try to move on to some basics. So if you're talking about basics, you need to understand reservation for OBCs and EWS. So if you're talking about reservation for OBCs in education institution, so it is not present in our original constitution, especially for OBCs. So it mainly added by 93 Constitutional Amendment Act of 2005 according to recommendations of Mandal Commission. So this Mandal Commission talks about reservations for OBCs. And under this 93rd Constitutional Amendment Act 2005, it provides quota of 27% for candidates who are belonging to these other backward classes. Mainly for entrance in higher education institutions, for example IITs, IIMs, etc. And in 2008, Supreme Court directed central government to exclude creamy layer. So if you are taking any society, in any society we are having rich people and as well as poor people. Rich people, they will enjoy in everything, right? So because of this advanced sections in that so and so particular thing or particular group, they need to be excluded. So this is the direction which is given by Supreme Court in 2008 to exclude creamy layer or advanced sections. And next one is reservation for economically weaker sections. So this added by 103 Constitutional Amendment Act of 2019. So this act mainly provides about 10% of reservation to this economically backward classes, okay, mainly for admission into education institutions, but they need to meet some criteria. So those persons who hold following properties in additional family income, they will not be classified under this economically weaker sections category. So they include 5 acres or more than 5 acres of agricultural land. Second one is residential plot of 100 square yards or above, which is located in notified municipalities. And next one is residential area of about 1,000 square feet or above, okay. And next one is residential plot of 200 square yards or above, which mainly comes under designated other than designated municipalities. So within municipality it is 100 square yards, it is outside municipalities mean 200 square yards. So these are the criteria that you need to remember for sure. And now let us move on to next topic. Title says Chola idols among 14 artworks to be returned by Australia. So this article mainly talking about this Chola idols. So this article will be important from art and culture point of view, which mainly comes under your GS paper 1. And this art and culture will be important from both prelims and also mains. So you need to open your Nitin Singhania book and you have to see about Chola's art and architecture for sure, okay. So you can expect a prelims based question from Chola's art and architecture this year for sure. So now let us try to see this topic in a very great detail. So if you see context, it mainly says that the National Gallery of Australia announced that it would return 14 works of art from Asian art collection to India. So here context says that National Gallery of Australia announced that it would return about 14 works of art that is from Asian art collection to India. So if you see some details, it mainly says that 13 objects are connected to art dealers, that is through antique shop, that is art of the past, and one it is mainly collected from other dealers. Actually this mainly includes 6 bronze or stone sculptures, 1 brass professional standard, and painted scrolls are present, and 6 photographs. So they are to be returned to India, okay. So this is just. And now let us see next topic. Title says rupees 500 crore budget release order for Dalit Bandhu. So this article talking about one scheme which is related to state of Telangana, that is Dalit Bandhu scheme. So this article will be important regarding governance, that is schemes, policies and programs of government, which mainly comes under GS2. So now let us try to see this topic in a very great detail. So if you see context, it mainly says that Telangana state government issued an order to release rupees 500 crore for Dalit Bandhu program. So this is mainly launched as a pilot project in Huzurabad. So if you are talking about facts, it mainly says that so this latest flagship program for the Telangana state government, which mainly envisioned as a welfare scheme for empowering Dalit families. So important aim of this scheme, it is to empower Dalit families. If you see details, it mainly says that it enables entrepreneurship among Dalits through a direct benefit transfer of rupees 10 lakhs for family. So there will be direct benefit transfer of rupees 10 lakhs per family under this scheme. And this is one of important, and it is one of biggest cash transfer scheme ever. And if you are talking about this scheme, which mainly focuses to promote Dalit entrepreneurship, and also government decided to start a system of reservation for Dalits. For example, in sectors where government can issue licenses, for example for setting up of wine shop or medical shop, for fertilizer shop or rice mills, etc. So in these areas also government which is mainly providing some reservation for Dalits. If you're talking about this scheme, under this scheme there will be Dalit Security Fund will be set up. And apart from this monetary assistance, government is also planning to create a corpus fund that is called as Dalit Security Fund permanently. And this fund will be very much helpful to support the beneficiaries. Okay, and this will be managed by district collector. And next one here you need to remember. So now let us try to see next topic. Title says vaccinating the young. So this article mainly talking about vaccinating young people. So already we discussed about this topic in our yesterday's lecture. So now let us try to discuss this topic in a very great detail. So if you are talking about India's vaccination program, so recently we are studying that there are two important vaccines which are eligible for administration of children who are aged between 12 to 18 years. So those two vaccines include Zydus Canada's Zycovid and second one is Bharat Biotech's Covaxin. So regarding this Zydus Canada's vaccine, so it is a 3-dose DNA plasmid vaccine. So in phase 3 it showed efficacy of 66.6% and it has been tested in adolescents, okay, that is who are between 12 to 18 years of age, and data has been submitted. And if you are talking about Covaxin testing which is going on, so finally the data which is not yet submitted by Covaxin. So if you are talking about other case studies or other vaccines which are present across our world, first one is Pfizer's mRNA vaccine which has been authorized. They can be given more than to adolescents who got more than 12 years. And next one is Moderna vaccine which is also similarly approved, okay, approved by US, okay, and they reported that yes, young children they can take this vaccine. But if you're talking about this vaccine, so already approved, right? So now if you are seeing condition in India, so young children are not getting vaccination, only above 18 years they are eligible for taking vaccines, right? But children between 12 to 18 years, they mainly comes under adolescent and they will be from 8th to let us say 12th class. So as we know, due to COVID-19 pandemic, schools have been shut down, right? So because of this, schools have been shut down. So there is no proper learning, there is no proper education for children. Even though if you are going for online learning, it is not much efficient because of digital divide. And also it impacts children on their learning capacities, etc. So young children, they are at least risk of hospitalization, death from COVID-19. But one important thing you need to remember here is whenever young children they are going to school, so they may carry this virus and they are capable of being infected with other people. For example, whenever there is old people like grandmother or grandpa or grandfather, so they will be more susceptible, right? So because of this, it is very much difficult to continue education now or to reopen schools. So if you're talking about global experience, so we must be administered, okay, so this vaccine must be administered, okay, irrespective of age. And next one is vaccines are more effective at protecting from disease than infection. So if you're talking about global experience, many countries they came with administering the same vaccine to children also, but with dosage change. So here we can learn from other countries and we can go for vaccinating our children. And if you're talking about concerns, so countries that have vaccinated about 12, boosting high rates of adult vaccination. But in India, we are facing some concerns like only around 10% of all adults they have been vaccinated. But other countries, whenever they are going for fully vaccinating of adults, they are moving towards children. But in India, only adults, just 10% of adults they got vaccination. And why there is delay? Because manufacturers, for example Covaxin, they are unable to revamp up monthly production of their vaccines. So significance here is whenever we are going to take this step means it will be very useful for reopening of schools, and we can also increase our production of vaccines. So this will help mainly to achieve this herd immunity. Okay, so this is gist of this topic. And now let us move on to next topic. So this topic, it is also regarding COVID-19 vaccination, but it is giving some other dimension. So title says in the interest of the public. So this article talking about compulsory vaccination. That means we need to take compulsory for sure and it is mandatory. So again, this topic will be important from health, which comes under GS paper 2. So now let us try to see context. If you see context, it mainly says that in Registrar General versus State of Meghalaya. So in this case, Meghalaya High Court ruled that state government order which is requiring shopkeepers or local taxi drivers or others to get this COVID-19 vaccination before they resume economic activities. So here Meghalaya government mainly said that, so it is compulsory or mandatory that shopkeepers or local taxi drivers or others, if they want to resume their economic activities, they need to go for compulsory vaccination. And case move on to Meghalaya High Court. Meghalaya High Court said that it is mainly violative of right to privacy, right to life, right to personal liberty and livelihood of people. So because of this, in response to this court order, again state government released a new order which mainly said that requirement of vaccination is directory only, it is not mandatory. So court mainly posed some reasons why it gave this type of judgment, because court reasoned that forcing people to vaccinate themselves, it violates very fundamental purpose of welfare which is attached regarding that. So here whenever government order which says that it is mandatory means it intrudes upon right to privacy, personal liberty, it deprives the individual of their bodily autonomy and as well as bodily integrity. So in this context, court said that rather than adopting coercive steps or forcing people to take this vaccine, we need to persuade the people to get themselves inoculated. Okay, we need to go for persuasion, means we need to change attitude of people regarding this vaccination. And if you're talking about this compulsory vaccination, it also often been deployed in India and as well as abroad. So we are having this Vaccination Act 1880 which allowed government to mandate smallpox vaccination among children, and even state laws are having, right? So these state laws, they have set up municipal corporation council and also to empower local authorities to enforce compulsory vaccination schemes. And what happened, whenever government which is passed this compulsory vaccination schemes, they pass judicial review, okay, at both national and as well as international courts. So even if you're talking about right to privacy, according to Puttaswamy case, okay, Supreme Court said that this right to privacy which is a fundamental right, but it is not absolute. So in this condition, what can be the measures taken? So one is state governments have authority to mandate vaccines under Epidemic Disease Act of 1897, so which will allow to prescribe regulations here to prevent the spread of an epidemic diseases. Okay, so under this it can go for awareness programs. And next one is the restriction must have legitimate aim here. So whenever we are going for this compulsory vaccination, which mainly pursues aim of protecting the public from COVID-19. Yes, people need to understand this. And next one is the restriction must be proportional to object pursued. Okay, objective pursued. So recently in second wave of this coronavirus, more than 4 lakh people, they lost their life. And we are also expecting third wave in September, October coming soon, right? So because of this current scenario mainly counts as a pressuring social need. And government could have ordered to replace it with less stringent consequences, for example, with a moderate fine. So these are some steps that can be taken by government. Now let us say next topic. Title says shared values. So this article mainly talking about India-US relations. So in yesterday's lecture, we studied about some background regarding this India-US relations. So now let us try to talk about this topic in a very great detail. And this topic will be important regarding GS paper 2 under international relations. So if you say context, it mainly says that recently US Secretary of State visited India. And here in this meeting, they mentioned that actions by India and US, they will shape 21st century. And if you're talking about major discussions, they mainly talked about 4 important topics. First one is regarding Afghanistan. So as you all know, in Afghanistan, US troop withdrawal that is happening, and more than 90% of withdrawal that happened. So because of this withdrawal of this US from Afghanistan, that led to space to expand for this Taliban, and more than 85% of country is under control of Taliban now, right? So here in this context, US said that no military solution to this conflict we saw. And as well as Afghanistan has to be inclusive and fully representative of Afghanistan people. So this is the thing which is mainly said by India. And next important area is regarding cooperation in Indo-Pacific region. So in this Indo-Pacific region, both India and US, they are having a shared vision regarding free, open, secure and prosperous Indo-Pacific region. And next one is they also highlighted about cooperation in Indo-Pacific region of Quad. Quad, it is a quadrilateral security dialogue. They contains 4 members, that is US, Japan, Australia and India. And next important area they discussed was COVID vaccination. So they discussed about this Quad initiative to provide Indian-made COVID-19 vaccines in this Indo-Pacific region. And also US announced US $25 million grant for India's vaccine program, and also promised to strengthen vaccine supply chains to enhance protection. Okay, and this one is, if you're talking about climate change, under US-India Climate and Clean Energy Agenda 2030 partnership, so it mainly launched in April 2021. So in this context, both the sides they intend to launch a new climate action and finance mobilization dialogue, and also they talk to relaunch strategic clean and energy partnership. So if you're talking about this article, which also focused on differences between India and US, so those differences include some issues regarding minority rights and anti-conversion laws in India, and religious freedoms and curbs on media and dissent, and also issues regarding Citizenship Amendment Act and even revocation of Article 370 of Indian Constitution. So here for these differences, our External Affairs Minister, he said answer in a very diplomatic way. He said that, so whatever the changes we brought, government mainly attempted to right historical wrongs, okay, to make correct whatever the historical wrongs we already did. And next one is, he said that consideration is very, very important here. So because of there is lack of governance, we came up with these changes. So this is gist of this topic. And now let us say next topic. Title says the wings of Pegasus. So this article again talking about Pegasus. From last 10 days onwards we are discussing this Pegasus. So if you are talking about Pegasus, what is important from UPSC point of view? So you need to know what is this Pegasus and how it works. And second one is what will be significance and who are the people targeted under this Pegasus. And you can talk about what are the laws which are present in India to tackle with this type of cyber attacks. Okay, what will be disadvantages of this attack? So this part is very important. So beyond that, UPSC cannot ask any question, because if you want to write about critically analyze, you are having advantages and disadvantages here. And if you are talking about evaluate, you need to write about what is significance and why it is happening and who are the people who are targeted here. So beyond this side heads, you cannot get a question beyond this, right? So here whatever is important regarding UPSC point of view, we already discussed, and now let us have a small recap. So this article will be important regarding GS paper 3 under cyber security, right? So if you see here, Pegasus, it is a type of malicious software or malware. So this Pegasus mainly designed to gain access to devices without knowledge of users. So without knowledge of users, so this Pegasus, it is designed to gain access to devices. And this Pegasus will also gather information and it mainly relay it back to whoever it is that is using this software supposed to spy. That means after getting access to this mobiles, so whoever who is operating this spyware, they can get information from that mobile. And this one is it mainly developed by Israelis firm NSO Group in 2010. But what happened earlier version of Pegasus, it is like they will send some text messages or emails. Then if you are clicking that, then that software will be downloaded. But now this Israel group, NSO group mainly came up with much technology and more advancing. It came with zero-click attacks. So whenever we are using WhatsApp, in WhatsApp we are having call facility. So if you're getting this missed call from this thing, then to this WhatsApp, they can easily hack our phone, right? So under this, Indian ministers, government officials, opposition leaders, they are mainly targeted here. In 2019, WhatsApp filed a case against this NSO group regarding cyber attacks, but there is nothing much action took. So if you're talking about recent initiatives taken by India, so this part will be very important. First one is Cyber Surakshit Bharat Initiative. So under this initiative, which mainly spreads awareness about cybercrime and building capacity. And next one is we are having this Cyber Swachhata Kendra. So under this, our devices, computers that can be cleaned. And next one is I4C, that is Indian Cyber Crime Coordination Center. So we have this Indian Cyber Crime Coordination Center. And next one is we also have this National Cyber Crime Reporting Portal. And last one is CERT-In. So these are recent developments in India to tackle these cyber cases. And now let us see next article. Before seeing this, I want to make a small announcement. So if you want to clear UPSC 2021, we came up with excellent, highly beneficial and also highly economical course, that is current affairs package along with the mains answer writing practice. So how this course will be useful? So one thing you need to remember here is, before entering into examination hall, you need to know at least 1.5 years current affairs. And this is right time to join this course to cover this 1.5 years current affairs in a comprehensive manner. And next one here is, so here we are mainly focusing on mains answer writing practice. So I want to give you example why this mains answer writing practice is important. So within 3 hours of time, you need to write 20 questions. So on an average, you will be getting 7 to 7.30 seconds, okay, of time to write one answer, 7.5 minutes. But to write this answers within this time frame, so you can imagine how fast you need to be. So whenever you are habituated to write answer in so and so format, then easily you can follow that format to complete your answer writing within that time limit. And next one is, if you join this course, we also conduct prelims test on every Sunday, and we provide you explanation part in form of video and PDF. So in this way, this course which is designed as per demand of UPSC. So finally, I want to say one thing. Please don't take this course as a choice. Try to join this course as soon as possible and achieve your dream of clearing UPSC. So details of this course which is given in description box. So please visit that once. And if you want to talk to me directly, you can call to this number 8074765513. Okay, now let's come back and let us see next topic. Title says the long road to winning the battle against trafficking. So regarding this trafficking, we are also discussing from last 5 to 6 days onwards, and this article gave you some important dimensions. So now let us try to see what is the dimension which is given here. So this article will be important regarding GS paper 2 under polity, and this topic will be exclusively important from mains point of view. So if you see here, on July 30, United Nations World Day Against Trafficking in Persons. So if you see here, July 30, it is United Nations World Day Against Trafficking in Persons. So if you are talking about situation in India, so in India, it is a time to reflect India's human trafficking crisis. So if you are talking about data, between April 2020 to June 2021, which mainly estimated 9,000 children, they have been rescued after being trafficked for labor. So this is according to NGO Child Rights. So this article or this data also says that about 21 children, they have been trafficked every day over nearly 15 months, okay, over nearly 15 months. So there are per day 21 children, they have been trafficked in India. And even Childline Helpline says that they got about 44 lakh distress calls. And child marriages are rampant because of long closure of schools, and as well as long-term closure of schools and economic crisis of families. So if you're talking about data regarding child marriages, more than 10,000 cases they are tracked between April to August 2020. And especially in state of MP, that is Madhya Pradesh, about 391 marriages they have been stopped between April-May 2021. And if you're talking about Odisha, 726 child marriages they have been prevented between January-May 2021. So what might be the reason? Because of long-term closure of schools and economic crisis of parents. And next one is we also saw a number of cases of increase in domestic violence and also increase in child labor. And if you're talking about here in this COVID-19 pandemic, we are using much internet. So because of this, there is increasing of tribal trafficking also seen here. And according to United Nations Office on Drugs and Crimes, it mainly said that trafficking had more than doubled. And COVID-19 led to traffickers to take an advantage here. So they are increasing amount of time spent online to entrap victims, and also they are advertising false jobs on social media such that whenever the children are coming, they will be trafficked. And next one is there is loss of livelihood, and also there is increase in demand for child sexual exploitation. So these are some problems which are aggravated by this COVID-19 pandemic. So recently our government came with this anti-trafficking bill 2021. So you need to look about provisions of this bill. That will be very important. So if you're talking about key features of this anti-trafficking bill, so it is also called as Trafficking of Persons Prevention, Protection and Rehabilitation Bill. Okay, so key features here is it mainly covers new forms of aggravated trafficking. Even transgender are included in that, and also prescribed stringent punishment, and also institutional mechanism, and time-bound trail and repatriation, and immediate provision, okay, and also rehabilitation. And if you see here jail term, they also gave you some important jail term for this bill, for this commitments or for this violence. So these are some important articles which appeared in today's Hindu, and one more article which appeared in page number 7, it is regarding Taliban. So already we discussed about this Taliban number of times. If you want to go through that, you can easily go through that. And let me know in comment box, do you know about which case is related to reservations in India? So if you don't know, please let me know, and tomorrow's lecture we are going to start with that case. So by this we are concluding today. I hope you enjoyed this lecture. Please subscribe to my channel and don't forget to like, share and comment my videos. And don't forget to enroll to this current affairs package. Thank you so much.